Guys, aloha everyone. I decided to make this video about how to get into the sailing because I think that the most people thinking that it's super unaffordable and it's very hard to get into the sailing, and you need to spend tons of money on the different programs, educational courses, and it's just hard, yes. But actually it's not, if you know the ways how to get into the sailing. And my example is one of the example, because I always dreamed about trying sailing, even back in Russia when I used to live there. And we have totally different climate comparing with the Hawaii where I'm living right now. Yes. And it's cold, but still we have lots of water. We have a Gulf of Finland, we have wind, and we sail a lot. So I always wanted to become a sailor and get into the sailing, but I thought it's too expensive. So that's why I decided to postpone this idea to get into the sailing, and I moved to Hawaii at some point. And here I met my best friend, and she introduced me to one of the captain. And we just first we just came on the boat with a pack of beer and went into the Friday race, and we were hanging out there, spending a great time on the boat. And after that, I decided to show up every Friday with a pack of beer and different stuff, ice, and so on. To be able to join the community and sail more. And in the beginning, I just wasn't that active. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how can I help. Also, English is not my first language. It's a second language, as you can notice. And to understand all of these different terminology was difficult for me, and understand what's going on, what are they wanting from me, and what are the ropes about, how not to drown, and so on. So lots of stuff going on the sailboat, especially while you're racing. And it was super scary in the beginning. And so I spent maybe a couple of months just doing nothing, just basically I was a ballast on the boat and just moved from one side to another. But from time to time, after some time, when a captain saw my dedication and my consistency, that I'm showing up every Friday, eventually I started to get some job on the jeep. And maybe in a half year or a little bit more, I became a crew member and the part of the regular crew. So that was great because I got my own role and I started to be a part of the crew. We participated in the races, and with each race, I was better and better understanding what's going on the boat, and how all of those ropes works. And like, it was wonderful experience. So my point is to show you that it's very achievable. It's actually it's for everyone who is really loving sea, ocean, wind, who is willing to learn and be communicative, ask the questions. So I decided to interview different people with different experiences about how to get into the sailing. So I'll give you different points of view on this, and maybe it would be helpful for you. And finally, you'll understand that it's so easy to jump into the sailing community and into the sailing experience and become a sailor. If it was your dream for a while, you shouldn't postpone this anymore. So hopefully you would enjoy this. And if you're in Hawaii, it's much easier to do for you because the weather is great. You don't need to invest tons of money into the winter clothes. Anyway, like, everyone can join this community. It's super easy to do. So that was my story, and let me tell you others' stories and show others in my video. I hope you would like it, and if you like it, if it was helpful for you and useful, just don't forget to subscribe, because I'll keep posting lots of cool stuff about different adventures, how to get into them.
Well, my name is Joe. I'm a 100-ton licensed captain. I own a race boat, a 1D35, and I work as I sail for fun and I sail for a living.
Yeah, I'm Justin Brackett. I'm a avid sailor and hiker here in Hawaii. I've been sailing for 11 years. I own a 35-foot monohull sailboat. It's a 91 Yanmar. Well, it's got a it's a 91 Thomas Tartan. And it's a 35-foot sailboat.
So my name is Maggie, and I live here in Hawaii on the beautiful island of Oahu. I've been here for over 12 years now with no plans to leave. Love it.
Hello, good morning. I'm glad that we met. Finally. Good to see you. Is it your boat?
Yeah.
Nice. I started to interview immediately. Sorry. Nice. So how long did you buy it? How long time ago?
I got this boat about maybe a little over a month ago.
Over a month.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
just over a month.
Congrats. That's a
yeah.
great purchase.
Yeah.
So honestly, if you live near the water and you have a yacht club, it's so easy to jump into this community and start sailing. That's why I decided to make this video, to get more people, cool people into the sailing.
As a small child, I was about 10 years old when my parents bought me an Optimist. We lived near a lake, and I would drag it out to the lake, and I figured it out. It was a very it was a tough way to learn to sail. Well, in Florida, you've got lakes full of alligators and snakes, and but uh, but it was fun. I just figured I had to go out and just kind of learn to let the wind push the boat and make it work. No one in my family sails. My parents didn't sail. My sisters don't sail. My wife and my kids don't sail. Nobody in my family sails. We lived near a lake. We lived on a lake, and it was just one of the water toys that my parents bought. They thought, oh, my kid will probably enjoy playing with this, so they bought it, and yeah, I did. I started playing with that, and I've been sailing ever since. Well, that wasn't my original path. I actually, I took the adult route. I went to college. I became a firefighter and an EMT. I had a profession for a little while in pro surfing. I had a profession for many years in food and beverage hospitality. I managed restaurants and food and beverage departments. Um, but sailing had always been there. And at some point in my life, I brought all of those together as a captain. I got my captain's license, and I started working as a professional, as a captain, doing private custom charters. And I got a chance to bring all of those different skill sets together. So that's what I do today. So there's several ways to get into sailing. One is, find a friend with a boat. Best boat you'll ever have is your buddy's boat. Owning a boat can be very difficult. If you're going to find somebody with a boat, generally find somebody that you get along with. You're going to kiss a lot of frogs, unfortunately. Not all captains or not all skippers are the same. Some are very, very race oriented. Some are very cruise oriented. And you need to find somebody that kind of matches your sailing style that you want to do. Neither's right or wrong. They're just different. And the same with the type of boat. Some boats are fast and racy, and again, some are more, comfortable and cruisy. And just need to find what works for you. Well, today we've got a couple of advantages, especially with social media. You can find social media groups online and reach out, and you'll find that people are fairly receptive to, yeah, hey, I've never sailed. I'd like to get out and sail, and they'll invite you out. And again, you're going to sail with different people before you find the right one. But that's one way. Joining a yacht club is one way, but that kind of commits you to the limit of who's there at the club. Buying a boat, a lot of people have done this where they buy a boat and they think, oh, all of my friends are now going to become sailors, and that doesn't really happen. And the same is, you'll invite a bunch of people out on your boat, and you're going to find that some fit into your sailing style and some do not. And it's not whether it's right or wrong, it's just particular sailing styles. So I think that the best way today for an adult to get into sailing is to go onto social media, reach out on these pages, and and just and be honest. Hey, I've never sailed before. I'm looking to sail. Um, for kids, for small, younger people, especially from kids age, the yacht clubs are a fantastic resource because they all have really good sailing programs for juniors, and it's not crazy expensive. There's almost always a some sort of a program. We were very I was very adamant when I was at Hawaii Yacht Club that we did not leave any kids on the dock. If they could not afford the tuition, we found a sponsor for them, or we waived the tuition. We always found a way to get the kids out sailing. There's actually a lot of fundraisers, a lot of nonprofits that support this. It depends on the club, but generally you're looking about 6 and up. And what happens with the smaller ones, you pair them up, or you'll pair a younger one up with an older one. But it's the experience of getting on the water, and it teaches so many lessons. Whether it's a child or an adult, you learn self-reliance, and you learn, the confidence of being on the water, and you learn that the elements all matter. Everything that you do on the boat matters. So there's so many life lessons that go along with this. And then further on into racing, you learn teamwork, and you learn how really critical every link in that chain is. Every member of that team is critical, and if one person doesn't do their job, the entire team suffers for it. Performance suffers. Well, one really good thing that I recommend is go and volunteer for the race committee. So every yacht club has, their Friday night or their Thursday night or their Wednesday night race. And, one of the struggles is always finding people that don't go sailing, but are going to sit there and help make sure that the race happens. And so they're always looking for volunteers. And so that's a very good way to learn the entire system, and how, the races are set up, how the start lines are established, the race from, what the boats are doing for staging, then the course of the race, and then the finish of the race and the scoring. So that's a really good way to get involved. And then generally, once you get into this community, you're going to find people that will invite you at that point and go, yeah, you should come out and sail with us rather than just do the committee. And so that's another good way to get in. Yeah. So sailing is a gender neutral sport.
Yeah.
Some of the absolute best sailors that we have in the world, Ellen MacArthur, as an example, Brenner Cole, these folks are sailing around the world solo.
Yes.
And they're sailing at an extremely high level. So we have the mechanical advantages on board of winches, and grinders that we don't really need. It's not all about muscle, and some of the best sailors that I have on my personal team are women. It's all it's all mental. It's just your mental attitude towards it, and and like I said, so women can be as intense racers as anybody else.
Yeah.
And like I've got a couple on my crew that I absolutely are just key players. Mm-hmm. And so it has nothing to do with being a man, being a woman. The thing about getting into sailing, and again, when you find a boat that you're comfortable on, you're gonna, especially in the beginning, you're not gonna have a job. Your position's gonna be rail meet, which means when the boat's heeling and you're on the one tack, you're going to be sitting on the high wind side. You're basically movable ballast. The challenge is that a lot of people have is getting from being that movable ballast to getting a job, whether you're trimming a jib, grinding, trimming the main, somehow getting involved in the actual performance and operation of the boat. And I have a lot of people, they come aboard, they show up with a 6-pack of beer, and they sit on the rail and they're as happy as can be. And then I get the ones that really want to get involved. So to make that transition, I recommend people show up a little early, help set up the boat, ask the skipper questions. When you ask the question, let him answer it, don't interrupt him. At the end of the day, and while you're sailing, watch what's happening, make mental observations and mental notes. And at the end of the day, ask questions about that. Offer to help. Again, ask the skipper questions afterwards, follow-up questions, why did we do it this way, or why did we do it that way? And it's, the more you show interest, the more the skipper is going to show interest in you. And the more that you're willing to come in and learn, the more they're going to be willing to teach. And that's a really great way to kind of transition from the rail meet to the rock star position. No, actually, I love when people ask me questions. I love sharing what I have. And I think that most skippers do. That's just the nature of that position. You're going to be teaching the entire time. Even seasoned professionals, the skipper is going to be telling them how to do their job. Uh, so there's no annoying questions. The only time that it's annoying is when somebody doesn't listen to the question or they don't listen to the answer. If they do something wrong, if they were told to do something one way and they don't do it correctly, you can either damage the boat, which is crazy expensive, or you can hurt somebody, which is the absolute cardinal sin, right? So we want to be safe and we don't want to damage the boat, so it's important that, you listen and, you take in, even if you make a mistake, that's fine. Learn from that mistake. So making mistakes isn't the problem. Asking questions, certainly not the problem. And then believe it or not, prepare. You can prepare by watching YouTube. There are YouTube videos for everything. And, when I have new sailors coming on board, it's always surprising to me that they don't know literally the difference between a sheet and a sail. And there's so much information available to us. And if you're genuinely interested in it, you'll find it. And YouTube's fantastic. It's a great resource.
That's why we are doing this. So much.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
I hope it helps. I hope it gets people out on the water.
Aloha, my name is Justin Brackett. I'm here on Oahu. I started sailing here on Oahu 11 years ago. My good friend Chris Bays invited me to go out and race with him on a Friday night. So we went out on a Friday. I loved it. Got yelled at a lot, but I learned a lot. And so started sailing with other groups, basically friends that had boats. And I met other friends who had boats, and I just sailed with more and more different sailors, learned different boats. And so I've been sailing for 11 years now. Yeah, I would volunteer to help them, clean their boat, work on their boats. I wanted to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. Of course, everyone knows it's fun to go out and go sailing on a boat, but in order to actually become part of the crew, you got to learn how to maintain that boat. And so, if you really want to be part of the crew, you'll want to talk to the captain. What do you need to do to get the boat ready to go sailing on a Friday night race or a Wednesday night fun cruise, sunset cruises, things like that. A lot goes into it and getting the boat prepared and then cleaning the boat up after the sail. Yeah, if you don't know anyone in the sailing community, I encourage you to go down to your local yacht club. There's yacht clubs all around the world. Talk to them about, who might be an active boat and who that captain is. Talk to them about, how to get involved in the programs. A lot of yacht clubs have programs where they have people that will take folks out on small boats and teach them how to learn to sail. There's also sailing classes, even for adults. So I encourage you to just, go to your local yacht club, ask them. Don't be afraid, because they're, just average people just like you who started out the same exact way. They wanted to sail, they wanted to get out on the water. A lot of them are lucky that maybe they grew up in sailing, but most of them are going to be people who just were intrigued by it, went out and asked questions, and before you know it, they were out on the water. Sailing, it can be very inexpensive unless and until you buy your boat. They say the only thing better than owning a boat is having a friend who owns a boat. So that's absolutely right. I have a lot of friends who own boats, and I was blessed to be able to sail with them for about 8 years. I sailed a lot around the island and different islands I would go to with them. They need crew. A sailor, a captain will need people to help him get that boat out and get to his destination safely. So if you volunteer and you help out, you become a good deckhand, then there's a good chance you'll be able to go out and sail with them wherever they're going. Doesn't cost anything to actually participate and volunteer, except for your time, sweat equity. They'll want to see that you're willing to work on the boat to become an integral part of the crew. And I would also encourage you to bring a six-pack or a bottle of wine or something like that, whatever the captain's favorite is. Bring that, and that'll assure you a spot on the boat the next time they call and want to go out. I have been sailing for 11 years, and I've never taken a formal course. I've never even taken a boater safety course yet. So, those are great. Don't get me wrong, you should take them if you can. But more importantly, I think, is that hands-on learning, really getting on the boat, meeting the people who work on the boats, asking them, how do you fix things, watching them, holding the light for them as they're working on things, and just take it all in, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll be able to sail your own boat before you know it. I would encourage you to, like I said, go down to your local yacht club, ask around, say, hey, are there any classes? Are there any people who go out regularly that maybe I should meet? Hang out at the bar, and ask around at the bar, or around the area of where people are congregating. Like, hey, you have a boat? Do you have a friend who owns a boat? How do I get into sailing? How do I get out there? And before you know it, you'll be on the water. I love sailing because it keeps you active. Even though you're out boating, you still have to pull the lines, move the sails, make things, work. Um, Reading the ocean, I think, is a phenomenal thing to know. How to identify the winds, where they're coming from, the swells, things like that. It's really amazing that you can start to predict what's going to happen as you're cruising along. You get to start to understand the earth, how the ocean works, how the rivers and waters work. And also, so you get that connection to the earth, which is phenomenal. But also, you get to know what it's like to just be free out on the water, and what our ancestors were doing 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Sailing's the same today as it was back then, and it doesn't cost anything. The fuel in and out of the slip is very little, and as soon as you can, you raise that sail and then turn off that engine, and then it's all free and it's clean and it's amazing. Well, for me, the thing that made me decide to go ahead and buy a boat is I wanted to be out on the water more. When I was going out on friends' boats, I would be able to go out once or twice a week, and I wanted to be on the water more. So I decided to go ahead and buy my own boat. I had a good friend who was selling his. I had already sailed on that boat. I knew it was a solid boat. So I said, all right, I'll buy my friend's boat. That way I can get out on the water more often. It is time consuming, but it's a labor of love. I love being out there. I know what it's going to take. So I really enjoy even cleaning it up and doing the minor small things, fixing little things here and there. I enjoy it because I know it's going to end up with amazing journeys. I would say stick with it. Don't get frustrated that's you're not doing it right the first time. Try to learn as fast as you can to do it right the second time. And sailors are going to yell at you if you're not doing things right. It's not because they don't like you or they're upset at you. It's because it's important. So don't get frustrated that you're getting yelled at. Stick with it, and before you know it, you'll be out there on the water.
Well, I got started less than a year ago. Jane, actually, it was you. It was. It was. If you recall, you invited me to one of the Friday night races.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember that? Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And what's funny is I started talking to a young lady there, and I don't even know her name, but she was all excited because she was heading to the Galapagos the next week. And I was saying, oh my gosh, that's on my bucket list. I really want to get there. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I want to travel the world. And that was a big one on my list. So she told me about this thing called Find a Crew. It's a website. It's one word, Find a Crew, one word though. And the first thing I did was actually contact my uncle because he lives on the sailboat. And I wanted to make sure it was legit, you know.
Yeah.
So did that. And yeah, he confirmed that it was all legit. So I went on the site and I filled out a profile and paid for a PIV, personal identification verification, which was $20, but it was like Australian dollars. It was only like 16 US dollars.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Very cheap.
And I definitely recommend doing that because I don't think people really look at you if you don't. You could be a bot, you know, something like that. So that's, it kind of proves that you're human. So once I got everything approved, you know, you have to upload your driver's license and your passport and all that, and it's legit. So I was really comfortable with it. And I like the fact that other people and the captains are all doing that as well. So at least you know who they are and that they're real.
Yeah.
But so it has like thousands and thousands of different boats and yachts and catamarans and all different captains. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a reverse Bumble.
What
I
do you
know.
mean?
Well, you know, Bumble's the dating app
Yeah.
where you know, when you make a match, the woman has to initiate something first, or
Yeah.
you can't have the conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of like a reverse Bumble, although it's so funny because in there it actually says this is not a dating site, like, I don't know, 1,000 times somewhere in there. And I'm sure some people do use it as one. But regardless, so if you don't pay for a subscription, which I do not, when you find a captain that you'd like to go out on, you know, you look at the boat, you look at the reviews if they have any. It's good if they do. And you know, you look at where they're going. You decide, do you want to leave, you know, from just Honolulu in my case, or you know, I decided I'd fly anywhere in the world if I really wanted to go. Um, and then when you pick one or two or three or whatever you pick, you sit there and you send a little wave, and that's where the reverse Bumble comes in. Joke, because you can't initiate a conversation with a captain until they see you and they decide they want to initiate a conversation. But you're waving, saying, "Hi, you want to talk?"
Oh,
Basically.
got
So
it.
that's why I kind of joke about
Got
it being like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, for my first one, I think I did like 3 waves. Yeah, I wanted to start off in the US.
Yeah.
Most of them I found are outside of the US, and since I had never done this, and in this particular case, I'd be going out with just the captain, so it'd be the captain and I wanted to stay in a place where honestly I could escape really easily if I needed to. I was like, I'm a good swimmer. It was the Florida Keys. So I'm like, okay, we won't be too far from land at any point, and if I needed to, I could swim to land. You know?
Oh,
That was kind of my thinking.
yeah.
Well, I think I got 2 out of the 3 replied to me,
Yeah.
which was really good. Which was really good. And the one that replied to me also, I went out with him next.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
yeah,
a great conversion rate.
it is. So I've only waved to maybe like 5 people total since I started.
Yeah.
I started, well, in January, you kind of got me started. So yeah, so once the captain starts a conversation, then you can converse back and forth.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, read information about him. It talks about the boat. Sometimes there's reviews, which I think are important. It talks about where they're going and, you know, when the boat was last retrofitted, and, you know, all kinds of stuff there, depending on what the captain puts in. But there's a lot of information. But once you've started that conversation, you can kind of get to know the captain. And, you know, there are so many different versions. Some of them will actually pay you to go, but you're probably going to be working very hard. You know, perhaps there are, you know, perhaps there's a family that paid a lot of money and you're going to be helping crew the boat and serve them or something like that. There's other ones that want you to pay. Some of them are, you know, $10 a day up to, I think I've seen like 100 or 150 a day. In my case, I wanted to trade my labor for the trip, just my labor. So I made sure I talked with the captain and confirmed that that was going to be the case. I talked to him about food, you know, how we would handle food. In this particular case, he said that we'd go to the grocery store and he'd buy his food and I'd buy my food. And you want to ask questions like, what size refrigerator do you have? You know, do you have a microwave? Do you have a freezer?
Yeah.
Is there fresh water on board? You know, do you have a fresh water maker? So in this particular case, I mean, there were things that I did. There weren't too many things, to be honest, though. I guess it depends on what needs to be done with the boat at the time. I think at one point they were varnishing the boat, and somebody helped with the sanding and varnishing, which I totally would have done. But in my case, it was just some minor things, and I think it was more for company. You know, I think a lot of times you have these wonderful captains that want company on these amazing adventures, and perhaps not everybody can go. You know, I mean, a lot of people have to work full time, and the people that don't in their lives, they might have gone a couple times already, or maybe they have family commitments, or you know, whatever it may be. So it's not always easy to find somebody that can take off either 1 week or a year, you know, or some of them you just go there and you just go until you decide you're done. So in this case, I think it was more for company, to be honest. But I wanted to see the Florida Keys that had been on my bucket list. So I purchased a ticket from Hawaii to Florida. And then I actually did a 1 week road trip first on myself, because there were like these things I wanted to do. Then I met the captain and had all my luggage. I learned a lot. You don't really want to bring hard cased luggage. That's not so easy. It's a lot harder to get that onto a dinghy. So it's easier to get things like duffel bags onto a dinghy, because you're going to be putting it all onto a little boat. And bring garbage bags, really big, like the ones you want to put leaves in, the big, thick, heavy ones. Bring garbage bags so that you can put your luggage into the garbage bags and tie it up while you're on the dinghy, because sometimes your luggage gets really wet, and that's not a great way to start. Yes, I learned a lot. That was really my first trip. And although I had been on boats before, I had never done anything like this. So we were supposed to, and we did do some sailing, but we actually didn't do a lot because the weather was not cooperating. We were down in the Florida Keys, the weather wasn't cooperating. So we ended up going kind of from place to place to place. We spent some time on land, a couple places we stayed a few days, and you know, went out snorkeling on a regular basis. Saw one shark, which was really cool. Just one, just one. Hey, that's probably a really good thing. So this particular trip, I spent 3 weeks, and that was my first trip ever. So that was a concern. That was a concern, which is again part of the reason that I chose Florida for my first trip. And if I'm being honest, there were issues that related to that. Yes, they happened mainly like 2 days in, and although it was very difficult for me, I had to really put my foot down and make things ultra clear, and I did. I also said that I was prepared to leave right then and there, which I was. But ultimately, it worked out. You know, we had those conversations, and the behavior improved. Um, but I also learned a lot from that trip about what I was looking for in a captain as well as in a boat. So I learned a lot about, you know, what would be a good fit for me. Yes, I definitely learned a few things there. He did have a couple reviews, and I actually did even speak with one of the women that had gone out with him. And that was a little hard because the reviews and my experience didn't match up. So I think you really have to use your gut a lot. And I would do a little more research, which I did for the next one. Like looking up the person, like I asked for their last names. And, you know, if I'm going to go and spend time isolated with this captain, this man on a boat, and I'm not interested in anything other than sharing this platonic adventure together, I want to be able to feel safe. So I would do more research on the captain himself. I would talk with him a lot more. So I ended up conversing via messages, but then I also ended up doing voice calls. That's kind of the next step, and video calls. And maybe I was just really excited about the first adventure and didn't really notice, I'm going to say, the orange flags. They weren't necessarily red, but so I think just being really aware of that, and don't be so excited that you jump on it regardless,
Yeah.
you know, pay a little more attention. So, and I did that with the second one. I researched the captain better, and I spent more time getting to know him, and I just got a really good feeling on that one. And it turned out to be an amazing experience. Ironically, while I was on my first trip, which was in April,
Yeah.
I was talking to the second captain and planning that next trip, which was really cool. And that one was in June, and that was to the Caribbean. And it was so exciting. Yeah, that was amazing. So, did a lot more research. I didn't know a whole lot about boats, especially the larger ones. When I was a child, it was the Hinckley yachts, so that's very different than what I'm finding here. And so I didn't really know what to look for, but after experiencing the first one, which was still a really good experience overall, but I kind of had an idea of what I wanted in the second one. And you know, you want to ask how many heads there are, which is the word for bathroom. It's really nice if there's two. Doesn't have to be, but it's really nice. We did have issue on the first trip with one of them, and with the one, so that is definitely concerning.
Yeah.
And make sure that there are enough cabins, which is basically your bedroom.
Yeah.
That you have your own. Make it very clear, which I did on all my trips, but that was a must. But anyway, yeah, back to the second one. So I was conversing with him and made arrangements to take the whole month of June. So I went from 3 weeks up to a month.
Wow.
And I went from the US to the Caribbean, and it was amazing. So I started off in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and bought a really cheap ticket, which of course took me all over the place. I think it took like 18 or 20 hours to get there originally, and then my flight was delayed a
Yeah.
full 24 hours. Yes, thank you very much, American Airlines, who they don't care, just so you know. Yeah, I won't be flying with them again. But anyways, I got there, and thankfully the captain was able to wait because it was a full 24 hours later.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was scheduled to go out with just the captain. I arrived in Grenada, and we we ended up stopping everywhere along the way, all the way to Trinidad, which was amazing. But it was supposed to be the two of us. And when I got there, there was actually another member, another crew member, another woman. And she was just having such a great time from before that she decided to stay on. And that's a very common thing, apparently.
Oh,
So
really?
that's pretty cool. So, yeah, the first 2 weeks, she joined us as well. Or I joined them. She stayed on. She stayed on. We ended up having an amazing time, an amazing adventure. So you definitely want to talk to the captains and discuss their interests. That's something that I did do, at least from the beginning. I'm really glad I did, because some of them only want to sail. They just want to sail. And personally, I like the adventure parts as well. So I want to talk to the captains and make sure that we're on the same page. So pretty much every day we might sail 2 to 4 or 5 hours a day on average, but then we'll get off and go on land. We'll go get some food. We'll go on a hike. We'll go see the wild monkeys. We'll go snorkeling. You know, we'll
Yeah, that
go out
sounds really
to
fun.
islands that are just in the middle of nowhere. It's magical. It's really magical. I made sure that the captains that I went with um, each like to have adventures. And actually, the first captain didn't do the adventures with me, but was willing to take me places. Whereas the second captain was great. He hopped in the water, and we all went snorkeling. We all went to find, you know, the wild monkeys, and we did just all kinds of crazy things. There were just conchs that were huge, and the honu sea turtles, and all kinds of amazing creatures out there. Yes, we slept on the boat the whole time, which is great because your expense is your ticket there and your food and any entertainment or, you know, other things you choose to get.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to be so seasick because in the past I've been really seasick, and even when I went out like with you guys, I wore a patch. So you can get a patch, a prescription patch that goes behind your ear from the doctor that will last for 3 days. You can swim in it, shower, all that stuff. And I brought enough of those for the entire trip and didn't use one. It was great. I don't know why, but for some reason the seasickness just magically went away, and I'm so grateful because I've had it in the past where I wanted to crawl up into a ball and just die. Sorry, that's the truth. So the weather was pretty good overall. I slept in my own cabin most of the time, but I did choose to sleep in a hammock a lot of the time on top because I love hammock sleeping. Every single time I slept in the hammock, it rained. Every time. So eventually, after like, I don't know, 8 or 10 times of this happening, I decided to sleep inside. But yeah, you can usually, I mean, it's up to the captain, of course, but I had the option of sleeping on deck or sleeping in the hammock or sleeping in, a cabin. Yeah, we slept on the boat every night, which is great. And it's fun because sometimes you sail at night and you wake up in a different place, and you learn to drop anchors. So sometimes you like jump over and you're snorkeling all around to make sure there's no coral or anything that you might hurt. You want to make sure when you drop anchor that it's a safe place and you're not doing any damage. Yeah, or catching a mooring ball and using a giant hook to do that. And that's very challenging if you don't get it done really quickly, because you cannot hold a boat from going, no matter how much you hold on to that hook. Once it's going, the boat's not going to stop. So you have to work really quick. Yeah, otherwise the hook gets dropped in the water. So we shared cooking duties. I don't do a lot of cooking, so I made the smoothies for breakfast, which everybody really loved, so that worked out really well. And then I did a lot of dishes, for other meals to kind of, make it fair. And random cleaning throughout, getting the dinghy up on top of the boat, cleaning knots, preparing things. In the end, he was dry docking the boat for the season, for the hurricane season. And so we spent about 20 hours, both of us, cleaning and scrubbing and just making sure it was super clean. Kind of like what you do for a summer home when you leave it for the winter. You have to board everything up and wash all the decks and clean all of this and that. And yeah, so that was a lot of work, but I offered to do it. I don't know, different captains will be different, of course, but this captain told me I don't have to do that. And I'm like, well, we went out for a month. Yes, I'm definitely going to stick around and help out for this. So, and keep in mind, this is all just since January. First trip was April, second trip was June, and I leave on my third trip in January. And I'm actually going with a girlfriend. She's going to fly in from Canada, so there'll be the three of us, the captain, and I'm going with the same captain. He was great. So we're going to do some just incredible adventures. We'll be doing the famous Panama Crossing and the San Blas Islands, which are supposed to be incredible, like 320 of them, where there's only like 20 or 40 of them that have indigenous people, and the rest of them just are islands out there to be explored. I'm so excited. And then we're going to do the Galapagos, which has been on my bucket list. The Galapagos Islands. I know, I'm so excited. And we get to stay in these places for like a month each, which is amazing. And the captain's doing so much work to prepare for this. I'm really grateful. And I've let him know that.
How long are you going there?
So we don't know. I bought a one-way ticket to Panama. So we're going to do those, and then we're going to do this 3-week crossing where we do not see land. I'm a little anxious about that. My girlfriend's a captain as well, and they're going to bring on a couple more crew members that are really experienced, thankfully. So my job will be stay out of the way and don't drown. No, I'll do a lot more things, but those are some important things too. And then we're going to do French Polynesia. I know. I know. I'm so excited. So we expect it to be 6 to 7 months. It was a big decision because I love where I live. I love Hawaii, and leaving it for half a year is really big. But the captain's great. I'm going with my girlfriend as well. these are things on my bucket list. And I kept thinking, gosh, when I'm on my deathbed, if I didn't do this, I'd be so kicking myself in the butt. So, yep. Thank you. Yep. One-way ticket. I expect to be back in June or July, although there is a small chance that we might continue and just go on to Australia and New Zealand. We don't know. I know.
Oh, wow, I'm so
It's crazy. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Definitely get to know the captain. Spend a good amount of time getting to know the captain and making sure that you guys have similar agendas, that you want to do the same type of things, because of course it's the captain's boat and the captain has final word, and you want to be respectful, and you're there to have a great adventure, but you're also there to help out. You know, you're there to um, be productive and, commit to helping on this journey. You're not there for just a free ride. That's not how it works. So make sure that you're ready for that. I've talked to the captains, and they have had people come in where they kind of expected it to be just this big vacation without any work, and that really is discouraging to them, and they will not take those people back. So don't be that person. Go there knowing that you're going to work and committed to whatever needs doing, whether you're jumping under the water and scraping barnacles off the boat, whatever needs to be done. You need to be willing to get your hands dirty and do it. I did some definitely oily things, and we had a few things break here and there, and you got down and dirty and did what had to be done. That's part of sailing. So get to know your captain and get to know the boat. Make sure you guys have the same agenda, definitely. And then I think you should also really research where you're going. You want to make sure and see if you need visas. You want to contact your healthcare, as I did, and find out what inoculations you might need or what kind of medications you might need. I actually, it's kind of a funny story. Now it's a funny story. On this last one in the Caribbean, people that know me in Hawaii know that I do a lot of hiking, and if you're familiar with Hawaii, there's not much here that wants to hurt you or that's poisonous or anything like that. So when we're hiking and I see something that looks edible, I usually try it out. And in Hawaii, that's pretty safe to do. Not so much in the Caribbean. So honestly, I don't even know how this first part happened, but it looked like I might have climbed a tree, which I didn't, although it's something I would do. But I ended up with rashes from my eyes all the way down my arms, my chest, my belly, my thighs, big, bubbly, awful rashes. And thankfully, I had brought prednisone. Be prepared. And you can buy some of that sometimes at the pharmacies over there as well, but do be prepared. I ended up having to take that to get rid of it. We found out that it was from the Manchineel tree, I think is what it's called. It's one of the most poisonous trees, and you can look it up. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. There are actually warnings on a lot of the trees, really big signs that say to stay away from it. They used to torture people by tying them to the trees because it's that painful. And when it rained, the water would go through, and if it touched the leaves, the water that fell on you would also create this horrible, rash on you, and it can blind you and it can kill you. Wow. So I'm on this prednisone, thankfully a high dose, for like 3 days, and I see this really cute little apple on the ground. And there's all these little green apples everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, yes, I know. What do? I pick it up and I take a bite. And thankfully, my teeth just broke the skin of it. I could taste the juice, but thankfully that was it. And the captain's screaming at me, spit it out, spit it out. And I don't spit, but I was spitting like crazy. I was rinsing my mouth with fresh water and spitting it out, which normally I would not do, and scrubbing my hands in the ocean and everything I could. Neither of us were sure, but he thought it might be the fruit of the tree, and it was. So they think that that tree might have actually been the apple that they used in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to base the story on. The apple that put her to sleep, killed her. And that apple can kill you. closes your throat. And yes, I felt my throat starting to tingle and get really weird. And I was out in the middle of nowhere. There was nobody to do a tracheotomy. And I think had I not been on that prednisone for 3 days, that my throat would have closed and I would have died. It really depends on the length of time, the specific captain, the activities you're going to do, whether they like to eat out or not. So these are all things you should really find out ahead of time and make sure that your budget works, because you don't want to be the one that's on the ship going, oh crud, I can't afford this. What do I do? You need to be prepared financially to go along with these things and have a great time. I mean, these are once in a lifetime opportunities. Aloha.
And you already sail with this boat, yeah?
Yeah. We just last week got back from Kaneohe.
Oh my
It took
god.
us like 12 hours. It was crazy.
And I'm glad that you're safe, you know, you and boat look safe.
Kind of. I just checked the bilge after
Yeah.
that Kaneohe trip, and there was literally like, it was almost up to the floor. It was full of water.
Oh,
It was
really?
super scary, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but how did you manage this?
So I was like fixing a little thing on my table, and a screw fell down under the floor.
Yeah.
And I just immediately heard like bloop, like it fell into water, and I was like, what the heck? And I open up my floorboard, and
Yeah.
there's literally probably like 30 gallons of water in the bottom of my boat. And I'm like, oh shit.
That's
But-
how you learn,
Yeah.
yeah?
I have a hole in the front of my boat that I just fixed. And
Oh,
it was, I guess, the whole way taking on water.
oh,
So
wow.
It's scary, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you managed this safely, you know, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You don't want to do this in the middle of the ocean, yeah?
So it all started when I moved to Oahu. I met this really cool girl named Spencer, one of my best friends now, and she was actually staying on one of these boats over here.
Yeah.
And so I started coming around the harbor more and more and started just meeting people. And everyone in the harbor is so friendly. And before I knew it, I had like so many invites to go out on sailboats for races or Sunday fun day, and just to get on the ocean.
Yeah.
And so everyone is so kind and so excited to get you on their boat, at least what I experienced. And yeah, I started going on races with people, and that really like got me into sailing. I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't really doing much, but I was just watching everybody and taking it on slowly.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I one day I was just like, I'm gonna buy a boat. Like I was like, I have no idea how to sail, but I had the idea that if I got a boat, then I could have someone take me out on it and teach me how to sail on my boat. And so that's what I decided to do, and I started looking around,
Yeah.
and I was looking at a couple boats. I looked at one. It was actually this same boat, and it was like $5,000. And I
Which
went and
is
looked at it.
not expensive at
No,
all. Yeah, very
really-
affordable.
Yeah, really affordable, and it was in great condition. Like,
Yeah.
this is a beater boat.
What does
She
it
needs-
mean?
She needs a lot of work.
Ah.
Yeah. But it was the same boat as this, and I went and looked at it, and I loved it, and I was gonna get it. And
Yeah.
I went and talked to one of my neighbors who's a boat mechanic,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, do not get that boat. Like that's gonna be the worst boat. It's gonna be the most expensive boat you ever own."
Why?
And I was like, "Yeah, why? Why is that?" And he was like, he said he was kind of joking, but I don't really know. He didn't really have a good point. But then he ended up saying that he knew a guy that was actually trying to get rid of his boat,
Yeah.
and it was the exact same boat, which is this boat, and the guy was getting rid of it for free. And so it was over in Kaneohe Yacht Club, and I went over there and started talking with him, and he gave me this boat
For free.
for free, completely for free.
Oh my god.
Right?
Such a great deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I
And-
mean, there's some leaks in it, and it needs a lot of work, but it came with a running engine, and it sails. We sailed it over from Kaneohe when we got it. and brought it
Wow, what does me what what means intention, you know?
here.
When
Yeah.
you want something, really want, that's going to you.
I
And
really feel like I manifested it. Like I was really putting the intention.
it
there.
looks like. And how did you get this sleep? It's such a good location, actually. I know that it's hard to get. It's just in the middle of the harbor. It's such a good sleep.
Oh, I really hate this slip.
You hate?
Or I don't hate anything.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try and move over by Justin's boat. I really like.
Why is it? Because it's less like it's easier to park or what?
There's a really nice spot over there that's really easy to park in. So,
Ah.
yeah. And like when I'm hanging out on the boat, there's so many people walking right by, and so.
I got you. Yeah, so it's less private, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, but I know that people are waiting for the sleeps like for forever.
Yeah. There is a long wait list.
What about you? Like,
So my boat is small enough where I don't think there's a wait list at all. And so, yeah,
really?
Yeah, because the boat is so small.
So the sizes matter.
Size matters with boats. I got the boat and we sailed it from Kaneohe.
Yeah,
Me and my friend Raphael, who's an amazing sailor.
I know, Rafael.
And
yeah.
he taught me some things on that sail. And I was like driving for the first time, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just zigzagging back and forth. Like it was a mess. That's it. And then when you get a slip in the Alawai, you have to do this thing called a buoy run, which is where you take your boat out to the furthest buoy in the channel and then come back so they can see that your boat is seaworthy. And when I did that, I went out. Raphael took me out, and then after, me and my friend Spencer, the girl who
Introduce you to
introduced
the
me to sailing.
sailing. Yeah.
Yeah, we both have no idea how to sail at this point, but we were like, shit, let's go out. And we took the boat out and we just ran the mainsail. And like once you're out there, it's really not that big of a deal. 'Cause
Really?
There's nothing you can hit or anything, but parking is the hardest part.
Yeah.
But I just went for it, and I totally I remember I was all over on that side trying to park the boat, going back and forth. But I did it, and so
Yeah, I think more you practice, better you become, yeah? So, and also taking your friends who can help you and show everything,
yeah.
that should work.
It was about a week after I got the boat that I went out by myself, though, and
You're so brave.
yeah, it's like, so I don't know how to explain it, but if you get the basics of sailing,
Yeah.
which are so simple, then you can sail a boat, and then everything else is gonna happen, and then you learn from that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure I don't know the right way to do everything, but I can fully sail this boat around the island.
And what's your next trip? Did you plan it?
I really want to go to North Shore, but I've timed it so bad with the seasons, because in the winter
Yeah.
the waves get huge over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm a little, that Kaneohe trip kind of was a little spooky, so I'm happy just cruising around Diamond Head for now.
Uh-huh.
But I'd love to go to North Shore or West Side.
To discover their island from different sides, yeah?
yeah.
How would you recommend people to get into the sailing?
I would say go to your local harbor and just it might be weird, but just walk around and meet people, and just let them know that you want to get into sailing, because I had a very warm welcome in the harbor, and
How did you meet Spencer?
I met her, it was called Bumble Friends.
Ah,
And
okay,
it's- yeah,
gotcha.
so, you can use like apps like that. I don't know. There's a lot of people who are into sailing, but I know Facebook groups is a good way to get into sailing. One of my friends has done that. But I love in person. So I would recommend going to a harbor and just walking around trying to meet people, get talking. Someone will give you good advice on where to go or what to do. And if you really are serious about it and you know it's what you want to do, get a boat and take it out. If you can find someone who knows what they're doing, or get on a couple boats and just start watching, that is such an easy way to learn just the basics, because personally, I feel like once you learn the basics, that's all I know right now. And I've been sailing for about a month. But once you learn the basics, like, you can sail. And it's so fun.
Okay, show me the tour.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I'm working on some projects, so it's a mess.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Did you already invest lots of money in your boat?
I feel like I've invested lots of money in the boat, but like it's buying tools and
Yeah.
you know, things like that, buying plywood, little things here and there.
Yeah, because I know the quote like, don't own the boat, have a friends with
Yeah.
the boat.
The best boat is someone else's boat. I
Yes.
think. And I'm feeling that. Like, there's always something you have to work on, always something you have to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Even that your boat is not that big, yeah?
Yeah,
You
I know, it's
still-
so small and still I'm like,
Lots
I have
of
a-
work.
Dude, I have a list like this long of things I need to do.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
I just got this houseplant from one of my friends.
Yeah, looks cozy, nice.
It was dying, I pulled off all the
Oh,
little...
yeah, it looks fresh, like not even dying.
And
Oops.
there's my boat. I
Uh-huh.
got living room over here.
Let's take a look. Uh-huh. Some
Some-
stuff, kitchen
Some stuff, kitchen stuff, little table,
Yeah.
little storage,
Mm-hmm.
little tiny mini fridge under there.
Yeah.
Keep the beers cold.
All the captain's needs, yes.
And then nice big V berth back there. You're welcome to go in if you'd like.
Yes, I would love to. Okay, it's a
And the
tour
whole
time.
floor was rotten, so I'm in the process of replacing the floor, and then I'm gonna put nice carpet over this.
Yeah, it looks like a surfboard.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Oh, some books. Is it yours or
Yeah.
was with the boat?
Came with the boat.
Yeah. Should be educated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see some window.
Little window.
Yeah. Uh-huh. One more window.
Morning, how's it going?
And so how many people can sail this boat?
I've had 6 people on board.
6 people.
Yeah, and it was pretty tight, you know.
So it's like a maximum capacity.
I mean, I have 7 life jackets, so I could have 7 people on
mm-hmm.
legally, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And-
I
but
guess.
we could get a lot of people on here, but for like comfort, it's not.
It's not.
You don't want too many, yeah.
So it's up to 7.
I would say up to 7, but like usually I take out like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you plan to do with the boat? What's next steps?
I don't know. I'm just gonna fix it up. There's so much projects I need to do.
Yeah.
It leaks water everywhere. There's a ton of leaks. I have duct tape up here over a lot of the leaks.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna refiberglass the whole deck. The deck here, video underneath, like right here.
Yeah.
The deck is like super soft.
Oh, I see.
So I need to redo the whole deck.
Mhm.
I have no idea how to do that. So I'm gonna try and figure it out.
Raphael can.
I'm hoping Raphael can help.
Help,
He's
yeah.
so busy though.
I know.
And then I'm gonna replace the rigging. It's like pretty old. It doesn't look in horrible condition, but I need to replace that.
What do you need to replace? This?
This the standing rigging. So
Uh-huh.
that's a big project. And then I'm just gonna give her a nice paint job. And
Yeah.
that's my next plans like in the future. But I really want to sail inner island and go to like Maui, or I'm from Big Island, so I'd love to go back home to Big Island. But
Yes.
I've heard it's one of the most dangerous channels in the world, and so
Yeah, Raphael told as
yeah.
well.
So I definitely need to get a lot more practice before I do that. After the Kaneohe trip, I really saw how much I need to learn.
But that's great that you still made it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like we got really lucky.
It's so bold to get your boat and without any knowledge just get into this.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I think I don't know. I learned best through like trial and error.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you.
Of course.
We missed this point. So what did you broke? Sorry.
I just broke my anchor.
Yeah.
I literally never anchored before. And so we were anchoring for the first time the other day, and it got so stuck.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what to do. And yeah, we were like trying to get it, and we ended up just like putting the motor on full throttle and just broke the anchor.
Cool stories to tell.
Yeah.
Okay, here are the boats. This is a jeep,
Yeah,
yeah?
this is my jib sail.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you change it? Is it good?
I'm gonna change my sails eventually, but it works for now.
Ah, okay,
But
got
like
it.
my sails have tons of rips in them, and I've just been patching them as they rip. With like sail tape, and then my friend let me use his sewing machine, which was really cool. I've never used one before. And
What is this machine?
it's a sail maker machine. I don't know what it's called, Sailrite maybe.
Yeah.
And you like it's a sewing machine, so you feed the sail through, and it does all the work for you. It's really cool.
Oh.
I'm horrible at it. My repair looks really bad, but it's really fun.
But
to
you're
use.
doing it.
Yeah, I'm just.
That's
you
all
know,
that matters.
Yeah, I'm doing it, and yeah, just learning as I go.
I wonder how many people just got the same way like you. They just bought the boat and went with the flow.
I know of a couple other people who have, and I think it's the best way.
Yeah.
Because like, the hardest part is parking. But if you have, like when I was learning, I had a bunch of people on the boat. And so if I was going to hit something, they would be able to jump off or push me away from another boat. But once you get out into the ocean, like you can literally like safely raise the mainsail and see what happens, you know?
See what happens.
Yeah. Like,
Where
in
would you
light
be?
wind.
Maybe somewhere else, not in Hawaii, Alaska.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Like if you know that if you turn into the wind, you stop, and if you lower the sails, you know, you're good. Like you can go out there and experiment.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alaska would be cool too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Big plans.
Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, here we are. We grabbed this interview. Thank you, Omri.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. That was
Yeah.
fun.
That was fun. So guys, this is the end of this video. I hope you're gonna go into the sailing and jump into the community and experience all of this by yourself. Maybe not that wild like Maggie or Omre, and just start it as a volunteer somewhere close by at the yacht club. Or maybe you'll go deeply and immediately buy the boat, or go to another countries, continents. Doesn't really matter, just try it. And let me know in the comments if you have any more questions, or was you inspired? Like, I would like to hear your feedback. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because I would do much more cool stuff and videos. You would love it.